go.
What's going on, brother?
Brother Jerome, how's it going,
Hey,
man?
it's going well, man. It's going well. Can
I
you hear
see
me
you
clearly, brother?
glowing. Yeah, I can hear you good, man. I'm gonna
Awesome,
move.
awesome, man. How's your day been going so far?
So far, so good, man. I just finished doing some breath work, and then do my little Wing Chun walks, is what I call them. And was just messaging a friend talking about we were talking about celibacy for a while.
Okay,
So yeah, man. And then now just getting set up here next to one of my favorite trees here.
okay,
It's
beautiful.
got a nice incline, so I get to just, sit up on it like comfortably like a chair.
Beautiful.
Hopefully though you could hear me good and there's not too much wind. If there is,
Yes,
let me know.
it's a little windy, but you're coming in.
Okay, I'm gonna
Yeah,
not get on the tree, then I'll go to the side here. I'll get some coverage against the wind. Here we go.
awesome,
Yeah.
awesome, man. Yeah, man. It's just been I heard the other day you were spending time with some family.
When was that? What? Oh, wait, hold on. Which family? Because we
During the
happen.
Prana talks, we were on Sunday. You were saying like you could drop in, but you were spending some time with the folks.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, how was
yeah.
it? How was it?
It was good, man. Interestingly enough, this is the that weekend was really nice with the fam because it was like the first time in a while that I got to like be at ease with them. So, meaning that like my parents, my dad's a an eye doctor, and so as a doctor, they're very like indoctrinated and what they're taught and things like that. They kind of like so a lot of the things that I do to him it just seems crazy and I'm just naive. Pseudoscience kind of stuff, like what the hell are you even doing? Lots of judgments. And so a lot of times in the past when me and my dad hang out, there's just kind of like a lot of tension in the air. We don't really have a whole lot of things to connect on, and and then it's just like he kind of he's always looking like, what are you doing with your life? He's just like wasting it away, kind of thing. So there's that, and even when I hug him, I feel like so much tension in there, like he doesn't even want to hug me, type of thing. Yeah, and then you know how it is, like for a long while, it's like I would kind of get in like little arguments with him, because I'm trying to like prove my points, and really it just comes from like wanting dad's approval, right?
Mm.
Like as children, we always want to gain our parents' approval, and I feel like finally, I don't know what shifted, in these past few months, but it seems like I've let go of a lot of that, like the seeking the
Mm.
approval,
Mm.
and for the first time, I was just at ease, and I just was like, I was fine with not having to prove myself in any way, and just try to connect with them wherever I could connect with them, like the same way we connect with other people in our lives that, you know, not everybody's into this stuff, right? But we can connect with them and ask them, how their day's going and all the other things. And so this was the first time that we got to really like connect and bond. Me and my
Wow.
dad and also my other brother, because he's kind of shy and introverted, and he for the first time also opened up and talked to me for a while. And so yeah, it was a really cool family bonding weekend.
Man, thank you for sharing that. So it's like the same way you let go of all the tension, you're saying you let go of the approval.
Yeah,
Like you let go of the need for the
right. Yeah, 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 man. And I'm sure there's still some there, because it's like it's kind of like relaxation. I feel like a lot of times as humans, we like to think of things as like black and white, you know, and either conscious or you're not conscious, enlightened or you're not enlightened. Like the way I see it, it's a spectrum. So there's like levels to it, you know. And I feel like I've released a huge amount of seeking the approval, but you know, I'm sure there's something there. You know, like if he, I'm sure if he finally saw something and gave me a compliment, I'll be like, yeah, thank you, Dad. So there it is, you know.
There it is. There it is. You know, it's interesting because you said your dad is it called iridologist or what is it called?
It's he's an optometrist.
Optometry. Okay.
Yeah.
So how is iridology di different from optometry?
Well, you know, I'm not like I've heard about iridology. I don't know a whole lot of it about it, to be honest, but I what I can say is an optometrist basically diagnoses disease the same way you know, your regular general practice doctor does, but when it comes to the health of the eye. So he diagnoses the health of the eye and gives you a prescription for glasses. And then you have an ophthalmologist which does all the same things, but then ophthalmologist can do surgery on the eye. So my dad can't do surgery. That's the difference between him and an ophthalmologist.
Okay.
And then, yeah.
So
And then sorry, go ahead.
in iridology, you said what?
Well, iridology, from just my super basic understanding, is like ways that you look at the eye and you can kind of see the connection. It's like you look at the eye as a snapshot of what's going on in the whole body, right? And so based on one thing, based on the iris being this way or that way, somebody could tell, oh, your liver or this other part of you is you know is having trouble, you know, things like that. So I don't know. Other than that, I don't know much. It sounds interesting though. I It
Okay.
sounds like they should be trained in that too.
So your father, he's able to prescribe glasses or like you know, he gives that prescription, but he doesn't do the surgery.
Right, yeah. If he has to open up the eye, he could take out like foreign objects from your eye if you come with something that's not like that you don't have to actually make an incision on the eye. He can take care of that, but for the most part, you know, they work at opticals and they're the ones who give the prescription for glasses or contact lenses.
Okay, okay. And you have 2020?
I do, as far as I know. I haven't checked it in a while,
Yeah, but
which is
like you don't need glasses.
no, no.
So like has he observed your eyes or has he ever said anything about your eyes that have been affected by your lifestyle?
Um, well, the thing is, since I've started this lifestyle of like being healthier and fasting a lot, I don't think I have checked my eyes, and it's kind of ironic because you know you're supposed to check your eyes every year, and my dad's an optometrist, and I never did check my eyes every year, you know. But you know, man, it's just the more you find out about like health and the things that the system, you know, is doing. I honestly don't trust a lot of that stuff. It's like, I'm sorry to say it, you know, it's like my dad's in the industry and I love him, and I love that he cares about people. Like he really takes his time with people, and people love that. They're always like, "Oh, he's such a great doctor." He doesn't like, you know, rush you out of the office. Like, you know, he's very personable. He cares about the person, takes his time with them. But man, I don't trust a lot of this stuff anymore, bro. Like, you got, for example, in dentistry, you got the fluoride, right? And you come to find out, hold on, stuff is not as great as it's made to be seen for your teeth, right? And I just remember, even as a kid, that whenever they put the eye drops, because the optometrist has to put the dilation drops on your eyes, because what happens is it dilates your eyes, makes the pupils larger, and that way he could see into your eye better to diagnose any issues. You know, it's kind of like like opening up the like a robot and getting to see inside, you know, kind of like that. Maybe that's not whatever, but you know, he that's the purpose of it, so he could see in there better and make sure that your eye is healthy and all of that. But I remember even as a kid, you know, it was only supposed to affect your vision for a few hours. But I swear, man, and maybe it's just my own imagination, but I swear that each time that I got those dilation drops put on me, I swear my vision got
Mm,
worse.
mm,
You know, I can't prove it. You know what I mean? It's not like I did a vision test before and after with myself. You know what I mean? And like, I don't have metrics to prove it, but it just it felt like that, and so I don't trust those dilation drops, bro. So
wow.
I I'm not. I'm probably never ever gonna get my eyes ever examined again. I've gotten to the point, man, where it's like I know what to do for health, and if any complications arise, it's the same recipe: fast, do more qigong, breath work. You know what I mean? Like all the practices just ramp them up. You know, if that doesn't work, nothing else will. So then, you know, but then you find surrender through those same practices. So if you got to surrender to the process, then hey, you got that too from the practices. So that's just kind of my motto. I don't trust the medical anymore at all for anything. Like, you know, unless it's you know, and whoever does, it's on that. It's just I've seen in my experience, I've seen a lot of lies. I've seen, you know, with my dad, I helped manage the eye care center for three
Mm,
years. And so
mm.
I would go to the continuing education seminars that they basically, you know, have to go to in order to keep their credits and things, to keep their license. And, bruh, these same people that are supposed to be educating us, right? The first PowerPoint slide is their name, the company they work for. Bro, I kid you not, like 90% of them were all um, employees of the same companies that sell us the stuff.
Mm, mm.
Like, you don't find that to be a conflict of interest there? So we're being educated by the same people that are selling us stuff. And so, you know, every one of those presentations was always the same. It posed some kind of problem, and of course they got the solution. And so it's like I've seen too much in the medical, like, and blatant lies with a lot of things that I just don't trust it. So it's like unless I need to be sewed up from like a car accident, you know, some kind of thing like that. You know, they're good at fusing things back together, but when it comes to seeing the whole system as a whole system, it's like they've been trained too much in dissection and isolation. Because you know the scientific experiment, you know, you keep all variables the same, only change one, you know. But when it comes to a whole system where everything affects everything else, like, you know, your liver might have some issue, but it might really be stemming from your heart or another complication going on in, you know, your lymphatic system, whatever the case. You get what I'm saying? So it's like it's not just it can't just be isolated. It can't just be treated alone, and that's where I feel like Western medicine has kind of lost its way on. It doesn't treat the system as a whole
Okay.
system, and so yeah, there's
That,
yeah, we become our own
yeah.
doctors.
Yeah, yeah. You know, it sounds like there's so much separation you observed, especially managing, you know, the eye care center for 3 years. I'm sure you observed a lot of that separation and a lot of the divide that wasn't holistic, like
Right.
that was, you know, looking at the thing as a whole, like a whole package. And it sounds like, you know, if you're ever hit with a problem, you just surrender to the practice. You're like, okay, I'm hit with a problem, surrender to the practice, you know, give myself over to the practice instead of focusing on the problem. I focus more on my practice and let the practice alleviate the problem.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
You know, we just, I mean, and even the science, like for those, you know, who like to see the, like, you know, the metrics and the studies and things like that. I mean, there's a lot of studies, bro, that show the power of fasting. And I remember this one study they did on rats where they injected them with some kind of like lethal, I don't know if it was a poison, but something that would basically like kill off all the rats, you know, in a control group. And then they did it with uh, they, they they did the same study again with rats that were midway through a fast, and then rats that had just broken the fast. And it was interesting because the rats that were fasting, like, it had a 50% survival rate, which is already huge, you know, for all the rats were dying. You know what I mean? 50% survival rate for the ones that were mid fast. And then the ones that had just broken the fast, because they got all the stem cells coming in, supposedly after you break it, it was 100% survival rate, you know?
Whoa.
Yeah. And so you have all these wonderful things that fasting does that it is so much more, infinitely more powerful, in my opinion, than a vaccine, you know? Then you have, I don't know if you follow Dr. Joe Dispenza, right? But he also has proven, you know, with studies, like statistically, and has had people come in with all kinds of measuring devices. And basically, they found that like 3 days of doing the immersion and meditating every day, you know, I don't know what exactly what they were measuring, but something that the vaccine gives you, like the immune system boost, like this blew the vaccine out the water. You know what I mean? Just completely blew it. Just meditation alone, you know, is way more, can be way more powerful than a vaccine. So then, you know, to me, my logic is, okay, well, if meditation can be more powerful than a vaccine, right? Um, if fasting can be infinitely more powerful than a vaccine, what if I just add all this stuff? You know, just I just keep adding all the stuff that is powerful, and it's like, well, like what disease even stands a chance at that point? So you know that's just my mode of operandum. You know.
Yeah. Yeah. It sounds so logical, you know? Really, when you really take time to sit and think about it, it just sounds like we don't sit and we don't think about it, you know? So
Right.
when you talk about it like this, I mean, 100% survival rate for the ones that had just broken the fast,
Yeah.
100%.
That's huge.
That's huge. And you're saying that they survived the poison, like they were injected with poison.
Yeah, I don't remember if it was like poison or like a type of bacteria that was whatever it was something that
It
was lethal. You get what
was
I'm
lethal.
saying?
They were
Yeah,
supposed to die,
exactly. Yeah,
but they didn't die.
yeah. It's wild.
What? I mean, Jesus, like
Jesus, yeah.
we're in the United States, like why don't we, you know? So, it's amazing to hear stuff like this because, you know, I wish we didn't have to subject animals to the cruelty of, scientific lab experiments to discover that we have the power within us already, you know,
Right?
that we already have the power inside. Like we go in such a roundabout way to come to the same conclusion, you know? We're
Yeah.
going so circular, like we're going way, just to figure out like we already have all we need. Like the body is the healer. The body has the answer.
Mm.
Shit. Yeah. It's just a blessing to listen to this, just to hear these discoveries being made. And when you're talking about, your father, having the position of being an optometrist, my mother is a gynecologist. So she
Mm.
reminded me of her when you were speaking of him, how she would sit with her patients and just give them the time and then, really empathize and really, make sure that they were taken care of. But also because she had so much of that, the education and the knowledge, like the way that I live is very, very out there, is very unorthodox, very esoteric, very out of bounds, very like, you stay over there with that. You're my
You're
son,
right.
you're my son, but you stay over there, right? you know? So, it wasn't like Mufasa holding up Simba and showing, at, right? Everywhere the light touches. You know, you are my son. Everywhere the light touches is yours. You know, it wasn't like that anymore. You know, my family kind of was like, you know, you're over there. You're over there with Scar and you're with Scar
Yeah.
over there, right? Like, like you you know. So
Oh man.
it's like you know that like the Godfather. You know, like Don
Yeah.
Corleone. You disrespect the family. The
Right.
family. How dare you disrespect the family? you know, you know. So
Oh, bro.
I can
Yeah.
empathize,
It's
man.
so accurate.
You know.
The accuracy, bro. You
So
have
yeah,
brought dishonor to the
yeah,
family.
dishonest. You dishonest
Dishonor.
family. Like on this, the day of my daughter's wedding. On this, like, how could you disrespect the family? So yeah, man, I know what it feels like to just be to feel
Oh my god.
outcast. You're still in the family, but you're not of the family. You know, it's like you're just something separate, like a separate entity, and it's not. You know, you still have love for them, they still have love for you, but there's that disconnect. So, do you feel like that still impacts you today, even after all these years? You know, even though you've let go of the approval, you've let go of the tension, you've let go all of that you harbored in your heart, it still kind of pierces you in a way.
Oh yeah. Yeah, for sure. Mhm. Because it's um like a way that I see it is at its bare minimum, it's almost like you don't get to fully be yourself around the family. Like you don't get to like fully shine the light like how you typically would. But I am learning though, because you know what? Like when I look at this weekend, like I was, yeah, I mean, I was pretty much, yeah, I'm always myself, I guess one could say, but I felt pretty free, and yeah, I don't know, I guess this weekend was different, man. I guess you can do it, you know. It's like resistance. It's like you're going against the wind. That's all, you know. But you can learn to set your sail in such a way that you could let the wind power you forward even more. You know, it's like the whole um, lotus. You know, the what is it? The lotus that grows in the mud. You know, and it's like there's so much wisdom in all these sayings, and it's like the more that you discover about yourself, you start to actually like, oh, it's really like that. You know. And then you start to see like its role and its purpose, because I feel like in me making amends with my parents and with my family, it's making amends with the part of the world that I don't agree with too, you know? And so it's all like going back to the holistic that we were talking about, you know? It's like you know, it's like it's so funny how a lot of people talk about like saving the world, right? And they want to, I just want to like, you know, preach the truth and save the world and then you know like free people and all this, but it's like, man, it's like you could start with your family, you could start with your friends, like you could start with your world. Like that is the world. The world is your world. That's the only world you know. You're not living in someone else's world. So it's like a lot of times we delude ourselves with that. Like what is the world to you? Like going on the news and saying fast people? Like is that what the saving the world is to you, you know? And like when you change your world, you change the world at large too. Is the funny thing about it. That's I don't know if you've seen the movie Claus, but if you haven't, it's spelled Klaus, and it's kind of like an animated story of like Santa Claus, but with like a twist to it. And I really loved the like the wisdom of that movie, because it's like this guy gets sent to this island where it's like this island, like the people there's two tribes that hate each other's guts, you know. There's just so much violence and anger there and stuff, and the guy, you know, is all about himself. You know, he's very like a selfish dude, and somehow he ends up like making toys for kids, and then the kids of both the factions start playing with each other. Now we can't have that, right? You know, people coming together. Whew, parents were pissed about that. But anyhow, through the kids, somehow, one way or another, um, the people started bonding, you know, and then everybody came together, and it was like this town that was full of hatred and full of you know, like they even stopped. He came in as a postman. They had stopped sending mail because nobody was sending mail to each other. It was pointless, and so all of a sudden now this town is super joyful, connected. Everyone's like, you know, just loving on one another, and it was like another um, like reflection that we change the world by changing the world that we live in. You know, it's about the proximity. So it's about making uh, those at work feel happier when you come around. You know, like you make the place better. That's how you know, everywhere you go. You know, you go to the market, whatever, and you know, you bring love and joy to people. You go to your family, you bring love and joy there. That's really how you change the world. It's not by like becoming some kind of social media influencer and guru and having a, you know, 55,000 ashrooms and stuff. And like, hey, like if you could do that, that's freaking awesome. You know what I mean? It's like it could be more impactful, but I mean, like the it's not about quantity, it's like quality, right? So it's like even if you could impact only one person your whole life, but imagine that you saved that person's life. That was the only person you ever touched your entire life. That's more worth it than you know, helping 5,000 people just, you know, I don't know, be a little bit happier for the day. Like this person's whole life changed because of what you did or, you know, what have you. So
That's powerful. That's powerful, bro. Interesting that I love how you said in that movie, you said it was Claws.
Claus, yeah,
Claw-
yeah. I recommend it, man.
Yeah, you said that the tribes were brought together by the children.
Mm.
The children brought them together. That's amazing. You know, it was like somewhere along their journey, like the adults had forgotten what it was like to be a kid again. You know, to just be like to forget all the animosity, the anger, the hate, the jealousy, the envy, the cruelty, like all of this stuff that the kids didn't have any of that stuff.
Yeah.
And so, you know, community, they came together, you know, and they remembered what, you know, to be human, to be just to be, you know, and
Yeah.
how can we not be free when we just be like that? Yeah.
I love that. You put that together. Yeah.
It rem- yeah.
I love that, man. Yeah. It's yeah, man. They have that purity, you know. It's like we like the parents, you know, we just keep how do you call it, like passing down the trauma, you know.
Mm.
And so yeah, I do feel like that there's a lot of wisdom in that, like how the kids was what brought everybody together. And yeah, man, the kids is kids is where it's at.
Sure.
Nabiha says here that it used to bother me when family had comments about my ways, but that said more about me than them. I think she meant, but that says more about them than me, perhaps. Yeah.
What did she mean by that?
Well, I think she might have meant that it says more about them than me. And
Okay.
yeah, and like I feel that because it's like again, like I feel like I'm throwing my dad under the bus on this live, but you know, my dad well, all parents, right? Like let's say for example, when you really want to, you know, when we're kids, we get told you could do it, you could do and be anything you want, right? Until you grow up and they're like, yeah, but you got to be a doctor or a lawyer or an engineer, some type of professional, right? And then, you know, but then when you if you ever decide to go out and do your own thing, like what you really want to do, it's like they get so scared, and it's to the point that like I remember with my dad, there was like so much fear there. It almost made me feel like they tried at one point and failed, and then like them seeing you do it just scares them. Like it scares them into you maybe failing, and it also scares them into what if you succeed, then that means they could have done what they truly wanted to do in life too. And so then it's like, yeah, like a lot of the things that they say or do towards us comes from their own traumas and their own, state of mind. So, so
Wow.
yeah,
That's super powerful, man. That's powerful. Like, it gives me chills just thinking about it. Like, somebody having that projection, and they want you in their protection. They still want to have that protection over you, so they have that projection over you of the reflection of what they think is coming. You know, they
yeah,
they they seemingly they know the road ahead because now they're coming back. They've already gone where they think that you have yet to go, but since your path is not their path, your journey is not their journey, it's difficult to come to that understanding. It's like, okay, they're trying to save you from something, trying to save you from regret, or save you from pain, or save you from hurt, or save you from anguish, or save you from, this devil
mm,
of what you might find around the bend, what you might find if you go for your dream, if you go after your purpose, if you feel connected to the, but you might not, you know, you might fall, right? What happens if you fall? What happens?
yeah,
You climb back up, and it's like, the same with the Lion King. What who got he got thrown off the cliff, you know? When we get thrown off the cliff, can we climb our way back up, or will we be too injured, to limp or to return? You know,
yeah,
that fear of maybe Simba looking in the eyes of his father after he had been trampled and fallen, and maybe thinking to himself, is it worth it? Is it worth it to be king? He said, I just
mm,
king. But then when he saw what happened to the king, should I still go for this? So
yeah.
I just watched a movie recently, bro. The movie was epic. It blew me away, and it came out of nowhere. It was called Dune Part Two. You heard about this? It recently just came out,
Yeah, yeah. Some friends are watching it tonight, and I was thinking about perhaps joining them.
bro. If you join them, let me know.
Yeah.
Let me know what you like. Let me know what you think when you see it. You
Okay.
know, I'd love to have even another discussion about it because I saw it 3 times. I saw it
What? Really?
in a row.
It's that good,
I
man?
went,
What?
saw it, then the next day I saw it, and then the next day I saw it again with a
Wow.
larger crowd. Looked up to see if there was a big crowd. I wanted to see it with a big crowd. I was like, I gotta see it. Like, the last time that happened was like Black Panther, like years ago. The first
Wow.
with Chadwick Boseman, rest in peace. That was the last
Uh-huh.
movie 3 times in a row. Was years ago. So it hit me. Somehow it triggered something within me that made me want to do more. But not to spoil it, there's a scene in the movie where the mother, she has to allow her son to do something that could
Mm,
be fatal. Like, she
right.
knows that if her son does this, he could die.
Mm,
But she still lets him do it because she knows if he goes through it and if he grows through it, he will be so much more than he could have ever been before if he passes this trial, like if he passes this test. So
oof.
to be able to, like, I've never been a parent, but to be able to allow your child to go through something knowing that they might fail, that, that's got to take a lot of courage, you know? That's got to take a lot of courage.
Yeah. That's a huge letting go, right? And it just shows that it's like the lessons continue through our children. It's like now our children come into the world, and it's almost like they're kind of like they're living their lives for us too, right? Like their pains and their pleasures, like we feel that too. So it's like we learn the lessons through them. Like he's learning the biggest lesson of all, right? Like he's facing death himself, but then his mother also has to face death through her child, like that her child might die. And now I have to like be okay with that, like that he might, you know?
On my,
And so
that has to
that's
be like,
powerful.
you know, because she's the one that told him to do it. You know, she's the one that urged him to go.
Mm.
And this is the type of like the type of trial that he has to endure. It's not that the people before, it's not that they tried and failed. Like they tried and died. You know? Like
Yeah.
there is no fail.
Stakes are high. No respawns
There is
here.
no respawn. Like you're not coming back. So it was like that. So I just, man, if you do watch it, I wait for you to see it because I can't wait to hear, you know, what you think, man. Yeah.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, damn, if it's that good, man, yeah, maybe we could do a whole live about it too.
There's a lot of themes, man. It made me want to read the whole book series. I know there's at least 6 books in Frank Herbert's series Dune that I
Oh
never,
yeah.
but a lot of people will testify that they think it's the greatest science fiction novel ever written, you know. But the movie kind of introduced me to that world and it immerses you into it. But you know, have you ever faced something in life where you felt like, you know, I might fail at this, but I'm gonna do it anyway because of what it will make of me if I go through this, like
Yeah.
who I will become. What was something like that for you?
Well, the stakes weren't high in it, but I remember that I remember with the Wing Chun,
Mm,
like I felt like Luke Skywalker seeing Yoda lift the spaceship, you know, and it's like I just remember thinking like I can't learn this, but I'm going to learn this. Like no
mm,
matter what, I am going to learn this, you know? And and so that was one thing that is like it was a weird thing. That was the first time that I ever like it didn't matter that whether I believed I could do it or not. It was like I'm gonna do this. Even if I can't, I'm gonna do this. Like it's gonna happen. It has to happen. That was the I think the only time that I've ever had that. And then with the fasting, there's been when I went to the initiation in Spain and knowing that 3.5 days dry, which at the time I thought was like a lot. Like you think you might die. So it's like that there was that experience, but I wanted to go through it, and I was going to a completely different country in Spain. Never been outside the U.S. I don't know any of these people. For all I know, it could be. I wasn't thinking this, but for all I know, it could have been like a setup. You show up in the desert, and like I have no idea. Like I don't know anybody there. Like so there was a lot of faith,
mm,
you know,
mm, mm.
involved with that. And so, yeah, but luckily I can't say I've ever had a a life death scenario like in Dune, you know?
Right. But since, like, you know, since you went through that, you know, do you feel like you'd be who you are? You know, would you be the Daniel Hernandez, the 1,000, you know, the 1,000,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
What if
No
he
way, man.
said Vegeta with the scouter, right? He was looking at him, he said, it's over 9,000, right? Like, would you be at this power level if you didn't, you know, have the courage to go through it no matter what? You said there was something within you, Daniel. There was something that said, I don't know how I'm gonna do this, but I'm gonna do this. You know?
Yeah, 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 yeah. And yeah, when we're met with those crossroads, it's like when we go for that leap, you know, unless you do die, you usually like at the even if you fail, quote unquote fail, which there's not really a such thing in my mind.
Mm,
Like you come out stronger, you
mm,
learned more. You know what I mean? Like, um, it's that it's interesting that like tribes had these rites of passage from boy to man, and they would usually have these type of like challenges that the boy would have to go through in order to become a man, right? And it was very like symbolic, and Yeah, that stuff is real. It makes a lot of sense. And there's another movie called Love and Monsters. It
Mm,
starts off a little slow and weird, but if you can make it through to, like a quarter way down, it starts to get pretty good. I really loved it actually, and it also is another example of like if he had just stayed in that underground base, sheltered,
mm,
he would have remained, in this case, like a weakling, But because he decided to set out and he had to face some monsters and go through some battles, like he rose into something that like he would have never became under that basement. Like I don't think, any visualization or like any kind of, like he had to be put to the test out there to get sharpened. And so yeah, man, I think that's a great reminder just having this talk with you, like a great reminder to just step out of the comfort zone, right? Because that's truly where we grow. Like it's so easy to stay in it though because it's comfortable,
mm.
but we don't grow in the comfort zone. We really do gotta go out there, put ourselves out there, and face the many faces of death. Whether that is, because we could, death has many faces. It could be failure. It could be reputation. It could be um, it could be whatever. You get it.
Yeah, no, it makes perfect sense. No, it makes perfect sense. You give me like a vision of those scenes like in The Dark Knight Rises. Do you remember
Mm,
Bane? Bane
yeah,
from Rises,
yeah,
right? He told said, you merely adopted the darkness, right?
that was
I was
cold blooded. Yeah,
born in it, right? So he said he had already faced like the many faces of death. Bane had already gone through that
yeah,
process. There was nothing that Batman could do. All his gadgetry, all his toys, all his technology, all his tools were nothing, because he had already gone through that darkness. He had already faced all that pain, all those faces of death. So when he threw him, he broke his back, broke his spine, threw him down the cave into that cavern, into that, everybody
yeah,
was there. None of them had ever escaped. Nobody had ever escaped except, for Bane from that cave. He had to make it out somehow, but the only way that he made it out was he let go of the rope. He cut off the rope that
yeah.
his failsafe. That was his security blanket. That was his comfort zone, you know? So when his back was up against the wall, like when he had nowhere else to go, when he had no reassurances that he would live or die, he made it. And not only did he make it, but what I love about the very end of that scene when he makes it out the cave and everybody's like, rise, rise, rise. And he rises. As soon as he got to the top, he took the rope and he put the rope back down so that the others could get out too. Right?
Mm.
He put the rope back down into the little tunnel so that they could climb out too. He didn't just go off into the sunset. Like he could have just, that was it.
Yeah.
But he made sure that he let the others that hadn't had a chance to get out, even though they might not have believed in themselves like he believed. He believed
Hmm.
enough to let them have that chance. So it's beautiful, man. Having conversations with you like this is beautiful, just to recognize like what we have within us. And there's one thing that I wanted to ask you as well, and I don't know if we ever got into this, but you just touched on visualization. The silver mind method. I think you talked about it at one point in one of the
Yeah.
talks. How has the visualization of the silver mind control method, how has that impacted your life, and was it really like, did it really take precedent? Was there a time when you really utilized it to change?
Well, that's the thing. I'm brand new to it, so no, I just like that's something I literally just started doing. I read the book many years ago, but um, right now I'm actually rereading it and finally actually trying to do the process. One of the first steps that it has you do is when you wake up, you're already in an alpha brainwave state. So he has you look up towards your third eye basically, and count from 100 to down to 0. By the time you get to 0, you'll be in that meditative state where he calls your level. And so you train yourself to do that for a while. I think it's like a week or something. There's a certain amount of days that he says you count yourself slowly from 100 to 0, and then you count yourself back out of it up to 5 seconds to get out of the state and feeling refreshed, wide awake, even better than before. So it gives you more control over the process. And the purpose of it is that after a certain amount of days, you then count yourself down from 50 to 0, and then 25, I think, to 0, and then 10 seconds, and then you get it down to 5 seconds, where it only takes you 5 seconds to get to your state. Then after that, you start doing it all throughout the day, so that way you can easily drop into it at any point during the day. You could drop into your level. And people do all kinds of like really awesome things with it, just as simple as like they might have forgotten where they put their keys or their wallet. They'll drop into the state and ask their mind to show them, and boom, the mind shows them where they last put it. All kinds of like things, projecting their consciousness into things, and even into plants, into other beings. And so there's a lot of powerful things you could do with it. I am very new to visualization. My mind, I am a very visual person, but I never train myself to hold a vision. They're like really quick. They're more like movie reels in my head. And so it's something that I know I got to train. Not have to, but I would like to train. I'm more like feeling based. Like even when I've done plant medicines, where people usually have a lot of visions, they say the plant medicine speaks to you, everybody in different ways. Like some people might see visions, some people might literally hear the deity speak to them in words. Others just feel feelings. And so I'm one of those. I just feel feelings. I don't see any visions. I just get a lot of feelings, lots and lots of feelings. So um, because I'm more feeling based, I feel like there's a little bit more due diligence on my part to try to get my visualization up to par. So that's kind of one of the reasons why I decided to dive into the Silva mind control method, because I had heard about it through Mind Valley as well and a few other things. Um, and I have a friend, he's a older gentleman who I just found out he went through the workshops with the Silva mind control method, and he does a lot of freaking awesome things with his mind, and I have no doubt that it comes from that, because like he says, like sometimes he would just be, you know, he's worked a lot with his hands, and so in the past, sometimes they'd run into a challenge where they don't know what to do with a certain project, and he says he'll just look at it, and he won't be thinking or anything. He'll just look at it, and all of a sudden, like a picture will come to him. And he's like, "Oh, okay, we just need these and these pieces," and somehow he'll have exactly the exact amount of materials he needed. His mind just tells him, "Yep, this is all you need," and he still doesn't know what the hell he's doing. He's just like, "Okay, I guess this is all I need." That's what my mind just told me. And then he's just like, he just little by little starts putting it all together and fixes something that like professionals like would have had a super hard time doing or couldn't see it, but he saw it. It just like would come to him. And I have no doubt that it comes from his connection that he developed, I think, with the Silva mind control method. I think we all have the ability for that, for
Oh,
sure.
wow. Thank you for just illustrating that. First off, thank you, because they do say, Daniel, they do say like, talent is being able to do what no one else is able to do. But genius is being able to see what no one else is able to see. And it's
Mm.
to hear that your mind has that power, like your mind, you're unlocking something in your mind, like the limitless field. You're unlocking
Yeah.
percentage of your brain that they say is not activated, during the day. You're activating it, or you're allowing something that is unknown to somehow be known and somehow be shown to you, you know? So when you were doing this, silver mind control method, and you're going down these steps and you're putting yourself in these states, you know, how did you understand the mind differently where you're like, okay, my mind is telling me this, so I guess this is the right thing. Okay, my mind told me, so I guess this is what I need to do.
Yeah.
Like, what does your mind know that you don't know?
Yeah, well, for one, that was my friend that did all that. I haven't done that myself, not in that way. For me, I have been for me, the magic that I've learned to tap into, which, by the way, when I say that we could all do it, I truly believe that. So I know that I could do that too if I just sharpen my mind in those ways, and once I do. And I learned that because there was a period of time where I would study hypnosis and neuro-linguistic programming. And one of the things that this guy Richard Bandler would do is he would put people into hypnosis and have them do seemingly impossible things, like speak backwards, right? And memorize this or memorize that, and he would then have the person do it, and they would do it at like with ease, and then he would have them come out of trance and explain to him how they mentally did it, you know? And, the person would come out of trance and say, oh, well, I just spelled out all the words phonetically and then just reversed the orders, and that's it. And it's like anybody could do that, right? But the thing is that, like, we create the only thing that stops us is our own limitations. And that's why people under hypnosis can do things they would never be able to do if you asked them, while they were, conscious. And so I found that super interesting. And one of the things that neurolinguistic programming was created because uh, they basically figured out that anything anybody does can be modeled, literally modeled, and then taught to somebody else. So the same way that Einstein thinks, if you ask him enough questions about what's going on in his mind, questions he maybe hasn't even asked himself, if you're diligent enough and you ask enough questions, you can get down to the mathematical process that he does. He creates a picture, then he talks about the picture, he gets a feeling, he goes back to the picture, is this correct or not? Like, there's a process of sensory experience and order. A sound comes first, then they make a picture about the sound, then they get a feeling about it. It could be modeled, and so there's a structure. Thinking has a structure, and if you find the structure of how anybody thinks, you could literally teach that same structure to somebody else. So you might not have obviously the same experiences and knowledge that Einstein had because he read certain books, but you'll literally be able to think the same way Einstein thinks, just from modeling his thought process. And so that's what NLP was about. And so very early I realized that, yeah, man, like anything anybody does, anybody could learn. And so, yeah, I truly believe that. And yeah. So for me, with the mind, when you asked me about like what the mind does, a lot of times I just so happen to do the right thing, and I don't even know why until I break it down later. It's like, oh, it was because this, and this. Like your intuition's faster than your analytical mind. So sometimes I get a lot of feelings. That's why sometimes it's difficult for me to express myself sometimes to people too, because I don't know what I'm thinking. I know what I'm feeling about something, and I know it's because of a lot of things. And so I really have to sit down and break it down to like explain to the person why it is that I have a certain feeling about something. I have to go back in my mind and be like, oh, it's because this, and this. I noticed that when this person did this, they didn't say this, where typically you would say this. But like in that moment, I didn't think that. I just felt that. And then later on, it's like unzipping the file. Like, all right, what is this emotion? I unzip the file, and it's like, brrr, and then you see all the data of where that intuition came from. So these practices, to me, what it does, it creates a bridge between your conscious mind and the infinite mind. right? That does infinitely more things than we can even be aware of, right? Because you know, thankfully we don't have to tell our heart beat to beat every time it beats. Hey, beat, beat, beat. We wouldn't be able to focus on other things, right? So you know, but creating that bridge allows you to use these other processes and other um, how do you call it, receptions, antennas, if you will, to guide your life more effectively in whatever direction that you're trying to go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Beautiful, bro. Beautiful, bro. Thank you for that breakdown. Like, thank
Thank you,
awesome.
man.
Like, it's just awesome the way you break things down, the way that you show it, the way that you express it. And I empathize, I relate, and I resonate because I'm a feeler as well. I did the Myers-Briggs, and it said I'm INFJ.
Mm.
INFJ. It's I think the INFJ stands for intuition and feeler. So I do the same when it comes to feeling and using my intuition. So it's just awesome to just to hear about the things that we're able to do. We don't even know how that we do them. We don't know how we go through that. We just feel it and we reveal it, right? You just feel
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
and then you hear
Yeah.
it like, oh my gosh.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
You're like, I don't know how I know, I just know. You know, I don't know why I feel, I just feel.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's real.
Wim Hof likes to say that. Yeah, it's real. That's a real. That boy Jerome brings out the poet in everyone. I love it. We flowing, we growing, and we glowing.
But
Yeah.
you're about somebody you remember what?
Yeah. Oh, Wim Hof has a saying, you know, that feeling is understanding, and I feel that. And there's also, sorry, I just got a call, but also Wayne, who's my brother that teaches me the Wing Chun, you know, he would always say to me that you're that I keep getting this is the same person trying to call me again. Um, he would say that your body is your master. Um, so meaning your body tells you. You know, it tells you everything you need to know. Like if you do something, if something doesn't feel right, brother Wayne, if something doesn't feel right, it'll tell you. You know, like if you're standing improperly, you start to get some back pain. It's telling you. You know, so it's like a lot of times we look for external teachers, and the biggest teacher of all is right here. Our avatar gives us. Our avatar, bro, is so crazy, and I've heard Elitom say this, right? It's like $1 trillion device. Like if they could create the human body today, it would be worth trillions of dollars, you know, just to make it. And so we forget, like that's how rich we are. We got like all of us, no matter how broke we are financially, right? we're we got the most expensive equipment here, and this thing freaking like picks up on so much sensory information, whether we are picking it up with our analytical minds or not. It's picking up everything from temperature to static electricity. They say our hairs stand up before lightning strikes. It's picking up on where the moon is, where the sun is. It knows where all the freaking planets are. All the time it knows this. You know what I mean? It knows what season it is. It knows so many things. And it's like, you know, what does this guy think about this? What do the white lab coats say about what we should eat? What do the like what does like we just we give our power, our thinking power away to all these things, which is okay to learn from people. That's cool, but like we forget how truly like amazing and how much information and how much wisdom we already have. Like our body has the information since creation. Like if
Mhm.
you want to believe in the Big Bang, like literally your cells are created from those particles. And so it's like, and then our DNA, like Sadhguru says that you know, you might have never met your great 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 grandpa, parent, but his nose is sitting on your face. It's like we have all the ancestral memories and knowledge in us too from all our past. Like the Avatar, it's literally like that. Like I actually thought about that the other day. Like, dude, if we really wanted to, we could do what the Avatar did: sit down and meditate and connect with a past ancestor and ask them for advice.
Yeah,
You know, hey, great 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 grandpa, I know that you did this, this, and this. Wait, what should I do about this?
right. You are the, you know,
You are them, yeah. We're the Avatar.
it's all inside. You know, like how he would commune the avatars, Avatar, Avatar Kyoshi, and Avatar, like, all these different generations before him that had done all this stuff before him. They came before him, you know, and he was able to speak with them, and he was able to. They taught him what the next move. So it's amazing that we all have it within our DNA, within our biology, within our chemical makeup, within us, you know, and that we're made of the very things that we see when we look out. When we look up, when we marvel at the planetary body, marveling at ourselves, you know?
Mm.
We marvel at the sun, marvel at ourselves, marvel at nature, we marvel at ourselves. We're marveling all the time. It's like a Marvel universe, right?
Yeah, I was thinking that.
Yeah, man. It's real. Yeah.
It's real.
So thank you just like the kids did in the Claus movie, talked about how they help people remember, how they help people come together, and brought that community back. You know, thank you for your words because that's what you do for us. Like when you're speaking of these, I know it comes from the heart. I can feel it. Right? You heard me? So when you come like that, you know, you're helping other people remember as well. Because sometimes we forget, you know, but it's okay to remember. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Thank you, brother.
Blessing.
You special being, you. I have I started saying like, instead of great minds think alike, great spirits feel alike. Yeah.
Love, love you.
Appreciate you, brother. Thank you for bringing this about, man, and always holding such a wonderful container for others. And yeah, bringing out the best in people,
Man.
bringing out their light and their gifts. I see you, brother.
We'll
I
do
hear you and I feel you.
it, we'll do it again.
We going all sensory now.
Yes,
It's tantric.
sir. So
Yeah, for sure,
we'll
brother.
do it again, and let me know if you do see that movie, and then we'll talk about it.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, for sure, bro.
All
All right, brother. Much love. Peace and blessings.
right.